both a virtual show because of COVID. We are virtual. You can also listen to us on podcast or catch us on air on 1150 AM KKNW at 3 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Sunday at 8 a.m. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Just like today, we bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything money. We are here to help you in today's economy. And now in studio, very excited for the first time to have a conversation with Mary Gleason of Mary Gleason Consulting and Coaching. We're going to be talking about bringing your whole brain to work right here on 1150 AM KKNW.
Well, Mary, I'm curious right out of the gate, and I'm sure our listeners are curious as well. What do you mean by bring your whole brain to work? As far as I know, it's connected on our shoulders. So, but I could also agree that maybe we're not all showing up every time with the whole thing. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, you're right. Our cranium walks in the door fully loaded and walks back out with us every time. And I have so many clients that, they have this great meditation practice in the morning and they can sit on their pillow for an hour, and I'm not putting that down. I think everybody should do that. But it's amazing how many get in the car to go to the office, or at least they used to, get in the car, go to the office, and they start with all the stats going in their head, right? They start with, okay, where's the budget? What are the decisions that need to be? What's the timeline? Blah, 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 blah. And by the time they get to work, there is no intuition. There is no creativity flowing from the other side of their brain. And they make half-brain decisions based on the data. So I like to think of it as this way. Think of your left brain as the COO, the Chief Operating Officer. They know the numbers, they know the trends, they know the schedules, they know all of that data. The CEO takes that data and filters it through the right brain as well. And so the right brain says, okay, here's the data. What do we really want to do with this? What's the best possible way to make a decision about this? And I call that making a whole brain decision. I have a whole program around it I call BYOB, bring your whole brain.
I love that. And we all know that there's a difference between the left side of the brain and the right hand side of the brain. Your left hand side of the brain being the logic, your right hand side of the brain being the emotional. And so being able to bring that logic and emotional together. And I'm really passionate about what Mary does. And, I've created some really great things for myself to create that space. Nothing in what, Mary really goes into detail and can always level up. But, one of the things that you mentioned is you really just need to create that space for yourself. You need to have, I like to call a refresh, where you just shut everything down in the middle of the day, no matter how busy it is, and you just create that space. And in that, when you have the tools that Mary talks about, you can create and understand how to use your intuition. I saw you putting your hands up there, Mary.
Oh, I was just going to say that your mother taught you this already, right? Take a deep breath.
Yes.
Count to 10. And that's how quick, once you know about your intuition, once you understand how it shows up for you and how to interpret it, it's really a 10-second process.
Yeah.
It really is. And so you learn to build it into your decision-making processes, just build that 10 seconds into your timeline that says, and how to, what do I really know about this?
Yes.
What
and
else?
Personally, for myself, I've had so many key moments in my life that have all been tied to understanding when my body is telling me that something's really special.
Mm-hmm.
I need to take a break and I have to embrace it for the simplest thing that I have no idea. And at the time, it may seem like it's not significant at all. However, I have many, many examples of where that's turned into something that has completely changed my life. So Mary, can you share the benefit of intuition coaching?
Yes. So after we've established left and right brain, I help people do what I call a whole body scan, just mentally. Where do you feel it? How does it feel? Because it makes a big difference. Is it expansive energy? Is it contracting? Does it hurt? Is it in the gut? Is it in the heart? Is it in the head? I mean, these are different messages. So you really need to know that. And what other ways does that kind of intuitive information show up for you? before it gets to your body. But I always start with the body to make intuition more tangible for people. And then gradually they will find maybe they don't need to quite do that much of a scan. It just comes more quickly and they trust it. So I think intuition coaching really helps people feel more confident and calmer when they're making a decision. And I can't say that it's 100% accurate. I will say that intuition shows up for you 100% correct. We don't always interpret it 100% of the time. But I just love what Doug was saying earlier about people being in crisis and whatnot. And what happens is we tend to go right to what I call the root chakra, which is safety, the base, and it's scarcity mentality. And so we just keep making more and more and more decisions, and we forget to take that breath and look up and say, what else do I know to be true? How else can I handle this? And oh my God, I'm very busy, but I'm not getting anywhere. And I think there's a really big difference between forward momentum, which is what you get with expanded awareness, versus being really busy and just being in a gerbil wheel, going around and around. They can look very similar because you're busy, but one's moving you forward and one isn't.
I love that. That's fantastic. Just being aware. And, the more I nerd out on some of this stuff too, Mary, like in the human brain and science, everything's leading to how powerful we really are and how expansive the universe is and how energy is universal and how we're connected.
Yes.
And it's really an awesome thing that you're honing into that for people. Do you think everybody's intuitive or, and if so, why is it important that people need to learn about it?
Well, I do think everybody is intuitive, although I have to say that I managed to stuff away my intuition for many years before it caught up with me. And I'll tell you, when you ignore your intuition, you get sick because it's not a one level thing. We don't get sick on one level. We don't get better on one level. We don't make decisions on one level that don't impact everything else. So one thing that I'd like to tell people is if you're really ignoring your intuition, it will catch up with you and it won't be pretty. But I also think that I kind of lost track of the questions. What was the last part?
I was just saying, why do you think it's important for people to learn about that intuition that they may have?
Right. So the more that you are aware of what's impacting your decisions, the better the decisions you're going to make, even if it is to say, I don't have enough data. I need a little bit more. And I'm not talking about the paralysis of analysis. It's when you get ready and you go, something's tugging. I have a good idea of what that is. Maybe it's I'm going to call a few people who work at that organization who weren't on that guy's list of references and see what the backstory is. Maybe it's, no, I'm not buying what that manager is telling me about the program. I'm going to go investigate that for myself. And you'll be a better leader because you'll also become aware of when the energy shifts around you. Yeah. So you need all of it. And I ignored my intuition and ended up with 5 ulcers.
Yeah.
And you don't recover from that overnight. And it was in that need to just sit and do nothing. Just sit in silence.
What a beautiful thing that's where it took you, because that's why you're where you're at today. Absolutely. And your gift is being shared with so many people because of that space that you came from. So Mary, let's talk about, because you do a lot with leadership, consulting and coaching. Is it new that leaderships are actually they're thinking of business? I'm going to bring in an intuition coach to help me. Is this something that's new, or has it
yes. Well, so this is what the number one secret weapon is of the most successful CEOs in the world, right? Jeff Bezos will tell you it's my intuition that guides me. Bill Gates says, why would you make a decision without consulting your intuition? I mean, that's what they know. But as it filters down into the organization, it's numbers, 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 numbers. So I'm finding that younger people are more open as they get that next promotion and that next level of decision making that has higher and higher stakes to it. They're saying, yeah, I want the secret weapon. But I'm also seeing the higher up saying, I've hit a ceiling and I know I need one more tool. And I've been to all of the Harvard workshops and MBA programs and whatnot. I need that secret weapon. What is it? And I tell them, it's with you all the time. Let's get in touch with it.
Oh, Keelan, you're on mute.
I haven't done that in a while. It's been a while since I've done that.
A hot second.
My bad. We've been talking about executives. Do you have to be an executive to benefit from intuition coaching? I'm sure our listeners are very curious about that.
No, and I work with individuals as well. And we talk about, where do you feel like you're hitting a ceiling in your life or wherever else it is? What are the barriers? And how do you know that's true? We do a lot of work around, what's your vision for your life? So again, Doug could appreciate this with financial planning. Where do you want to end up? Where do you want to go? And where you are now, is that where you are, and why not? So some of that reasoning, some of that line of thinking for me said, I'm living into the wrong definition of success. It's not the job title. It's not the good pay. It's not the bigger house. It's not the great marriage, because I had all of that. And I got 5 ulcers. Yeah. So it's paying attention to what really makes you successful. And I am happy to work with you as an individual or as an executive. And I will tell you, it doesn't matter which way you come through the door. It's going to benefit every area of your life.
Yeah. So Mary, how do our listeners, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, they can reach me at mary@marygleasonconsulting.com. That's pretty easy. And they can go to my website, marygleasonconsulting.com, which I will say, if you were to run there right now, you're going to see the one that's not going to be there in another week. I'm totally redoing my website and rebranding. So if you say, I thought she meant intuition coaching, I do. It's in there. It's just going to be way more visible in a week. And can I also just say that I have a workshop coming up on Saturday, the 20th, making the mind-body connection for greater intuition, Saturday the 20th. And if any of your listeners would like to register at marygleasonconsulting.com, just enter the code BYOB with a $sign and you will save $100.
Oh, I love that, Mary. Thank you. It's always nice to get gifts for our listeners.